Like, if I lose weight, a lot of the pants that I own aren't going to fit me anymore. And a lot of the pants that I own are expensive. Let's be real. My jackets, they're going to fit fine. Even if I gain a bit of muscle, there's room in the shoulders. But if I lose weight, some of my pants are going to fall right off me. Now, to an extent, I can tailor them, but only to an extent. My only hope for keeping some of these pants held up, building a big dumpy wagon, building a colossal dump truck or a belt. You shouldn't use a belt to hold up your pants. Maybe like in workwear, like a belt is a fashion element and you can use it to, ideally, if your pants fit perfectly, a belt is totally unnecessary. Like they should just hold at like, they should just sit at your waist or on top of your hips and just conform to your body well enough. Now, you want to wear a belt to hold them up if you're doing like work, right? Like if you're on a construction site, you're going to be like bending down and moving stuff around. Yeah, of course. You know, I'm not saying like a belt is useless in a mechanical sense. I'm just saying that ideally, the perfectly tailored pair of pants will not require them. Is this a property of denim, perchance? I mean, any type of pants can fit you perfectly. What's that little keychain thing hanging off your mic stand? A winged Pikmin. Beep beep. It's cute. How do I get into suits? Well, traditionally, you put one arm through one sleeve and then the other arm through the other. You put the pants on. Use suspenders, they're dope as fuck. I think that suspenders are basically obsolete. So look, suspenders, I don't think they should be used unless you are literally wearing like overall, like coveralls or half coveralls, or you're wearing a suit where the suspenders are hidden. Like people, the reason why people make fun of guys for wearing suspenders is because they wear them with pants that don't need or want suspenders. You know what I mean? Like we were all inundated during the 2010s with awful looking shit like this, which like, oh my God, dude, look, these pants don't even have suspender loops. It's literally clips. Like they know these suspenders are going to be used like worthlessly. So they're fucking clipping it onto the, like, yeah, stuff like this. You should never see suspenders. They are a structural element meant to hold your pants up. You wear a jacket over there. They're part of a suit. This guy ain't wearing a suit. I promise you that. Also, he doesn't need them. These are like stretch trousers. These fit him. What are the suspenders? What are they suspending? They're just pulling up at the seat. Like you can literally see that they're not holding up the pants. They're just pulling up here. What are these suspenders holding up? He's wearing jeans. What are they holding up? They're like slack right here. What are they holding up? I'm telling you, man, it's like, it's this blight. This is why people think ill of suspenders. What if you're a cowboy in the Old West? Google cowboy outfits and see if you can find suspenders. I'm wearing something closer to what cowboys wore. Canvas jacket with a corduroy collar. They look cool, okay? They don't. It's not holding the pants up. Here, let me show you what suspenders should look like, okay? Laborers absolutely wore suspenders. Really depends. Oh God, it's hard to get Google image results on this because a lot of the time they'll just show you modern stuff. Here. I don't know if this is a current photo or if it's an older photo someone colorized or whatever else. The fact that this has a band collar makes me think it might be older, but I can't really tell. I'm sorry, I don't know. But see how this man's pants are being held up? This is AI. Is it AI? I don't know. Okay, I don't even care because it still shows the point. The man's pants are being held. See how there's a gap here? This is not AI Lamau. What if I just get Patrick Bateman suspenders? He wore suspenders in the movie. Can I get a clean shot of how they held up his pants? It's hard to see because of how dark it is. You can probably tell from how baggy the shirt is as it's tucked in, but the point of suspenders is that your pants are being held up. They're not tourniqueting your waist. They're very comfortable, allegedly. I've never worn them, but they're not cowboys with suspenders. Okay, well, you got me. And there's a band collar again. How is this? Oh, Christ. Suspenders and belt? Why? That's insane. Okay, whatever. Belts and suspenders is crazy, though. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, here. You can see it pretty clearly. You see how in the suspenders here, which are being used to suspend the trousers, hence the term suspenders, you see how it's holding the trousers up at like an even point. It's just they have a specific purpose. That looks like ass. This looks like ass. Guys who wear it like this look good though. They really don't. I'm sorry. These are literally like $5 clip-on suspenders being used as a fashion accessory. It's like that. It looks terrible to me. You said they don't suspend anything on bad suspenders, but you don't button the lowest button on a suit either. I'm dumb, but why? You don't button the lowest button in a suit because the lowest button on a suit, if it's more than one button suit jacket, isn't meant to be buttoned. The clothing doesn't hang correctly if you button the last button. Which goes back to fashion reasons about a fat English king or something. But like they design it to not have it buttoned. It's purely a like aesthetic choice. But a suit is an aesthetic garment. It's like a suit is not fully practical. A suit is meant to, that's stupid. It's a suit. It's not workwear. It's not meant to be a hyper-practical garment. It's a suit. Like, it's like, this suit isn't practical. If you care about practicality, why are you wearing a suit? It's a formal item of clothing. Like, it's okay, like, okay, then why have the collar and lapel? Like, those aren't necessary, right? Like, that's those are also an aesthetic element, you know? So isn't there a defensible way of making purely aesthetic suspenders too? So you're arguing that because something for, like, it's like there's an aesthetic element to suits, that means that, like, there should be no rules on anything? First of all, it's not aesthetic because it looks like shit. Like, what you're basically saying is like, because suits have a thing that doesn't make sense from a practical standpoint, are there no rules? Well, you can do whatever you want if you want to, but that doesn't mean that everything you do is going to look good. Like, if you want like a radically non-prescriptivist take on it, you could be like, well, what if I wore anything in any order for any reason? Like, okay, you can. There aren't rules. Well, people have aesthetic preferences. Is there a way to do it better? Is there a way to like dress like this but better with jeans and a short sleeve button down with a button down collar and suspenders? I think no, because a big issue with this is that these suspenders aren't suspending anything. They're worthless. Like, they're literally clipping on to jeans. For one, like, suspenders are worn with, you know, high-waisted stuff. That's a start. Isn't all aesthetics just subjective? No, it's intersubjective, which means that even though you can, in an idealized sense, you can be like, oh, well, you know, you could make anything work in a different cultural context. Well, we don't live in that cultural context. Most people would agree some outfits are ugly. Like, you know, but it's intersubjective. Like, you could design a world, theoretically, where any outfit would be considered good looking. But that's basically like saying, okay, whether or not a song is good is totally culturally subjective, so you can't have any opinions on music. Like, you have somebody listening, like something sounds like absolute dog shit, and it's like, okay, well, people's musical preferences are subjective, so there's no way to know, right? Could you make a song sound good if it was just like absolute dog shit? I think there's a lot of truth to that, King Jar Jerk. I think that if you want to break the rules, you have to know how the rules work first, you know? You're never going to create a new compelling way of wearing clothing by not having any understanding of or respect for the reasons why clothing is worn the way that it is, you know? You have to understand the rules before you can break them, which is why so many of the most like valued elements of the modern clothing aesthetic are built off of a deliberate rejection of existing trends rather than just doing whatever. Not everyone can afford belts just for fashion. I don't know what you mean. If belts are for vanity and suspenders are for utility, why can't you use both? I didn't say that. Belts are a high utility item. I just think that your pants should be able to hold up just fine even without them. But that doesn't mean belts are useless. I just don't understand why you guys want to wear suspenders so badly when you guys don't wear suspenders. Like, I know all the people in chat who are being contrarian about this right now. You don't wear suspenders. I'm not stupid. I don't believe that you go out there and wear suspenders. Like, you're talking, what you're really getting at in the like broader sense, this is a moral question about what gives me the right to make definitive statements about why this looks bad. To which the answer is, I don't have that definitive moral right. I'm talking about, like, in an intersubjective sense, the general interests and traditions people have based on the styles of clothing this is meant to, like, reminisce. This is ahistorical. This is a very specific, like, early 2000s to 2010, like, hipster kind of vibe. You don't see it much anymore. Like, this is not a recreation of a previous trend. It's like a very, and people found it insufferable at the time, too. So it's largely, like, made fun of, you know? This style is from the 60s. I promise you it's not. What about people with big gut pants don't fit? You're gonna have to work on that sentence a little bit. I wear suspenders because I lost weight and belts are uncomfy. Belts are uncomfy. I don't disagree with that. What about people who carry all their weight in the gut? I don't know what you're asking me. Are some people fat? Yes. What am I don't understand what I'm being asked. What about them? Yes, they are, and we love our big boys here. The doctor in 2011 had them, and it looks just as bad. Oh, the perfect 2011 fit right there. Incredible. Yep, with the clip-on suspenders. Yep, perfect for the era. Perfect for the era. The skinny suspenders with jeans is a skinhead thing. It absolutely is from the 1960s. I mean, I saw there were a bunch of people who did this that weren't like skinheads. I don't know. I'm not saying it's never been done. I'm saying that, like, if you saw a guy in 2011 who was wearing a button-down short-sleeve shirt, clip-on suspenders that don't carry anything, and jeans, salvage jeans, likely, it's far more likely than not that they're adopting like a very specific anachronistic, like 10 to 15-year-old hipster trend than they are like deliberately pulling from any. But I acknowledge that, like, in that specific case, some people can look really good with suspenders. I don't think this looks good. It's hard to tell though, because this is airbrushed into oblivion. I guess they're high-waisted enough. I think in this case it might be because he's like a super airbrushed. What is RRR? You haven't seen RRR? I haven't seen a lot of things. It's definitely a gay bear culture thing to wear flannel and suspenders as part of a macho quiche look. I feel like this conversation might have leaned in directions that I didn't intend it to, and I apologize perhaps for being undisciplined and allowing it to happen. I'm not saying that you can't wear them. You can do whatever you want. I'm talking about the aesthetic preferences that I have and that I think a lot of people share, which is why the hipsters were like widely made fun of for the clothing that they wore, and my opinions on it. Like, I would hope everyone understands that when I say that doesn't look good, that this is shorthand for, in my aesthetic preference, this doesn't look good, because obviously I don't believe in objective aesthetics. And if you think I am saying that, I think you'd have to be like deliberately ignoring the many times I've indicated that I don't believe in objective aesthetics. Just to be clear. No, anyway. Though I still think this is ridiculous. Do you feel similarly about overalls? No? I mean, people wear overalls. What do you mean? For sure, yeah, suspender bands should absolutely be wide. 100%. They're super skinny. I don't even know what you're doing. If you guys wear suspenders, just know there's nothing wrong with what you do and what you like. I apologize. And I mean that. I apologize. I'm not doing a bit. Sometimes I have strongly held aesthetic preferences, particularly when it comes to like Americana. And I don't want people to think that I'm being like prescriptive. I'm just talking about my preferences. I do think the stupid little clip ones are pretty bad. How do we get on this? It's probably my fault. Oh, this is a thread I'm unfamiliar with. Hold on. Why is Tokyo so fashionable? Some theories. Anytime someone tries to explain social outcomes, the easy answer is culture. That's because anything can be explained by culture, e.g., oh, that's just the way those people are, it's their culture. When discussing Asia, sometimes this can get into weird Orientalism. When I was on a menswear forum, I remember discussing the question of why there are so many bespoke shoemakers in Tokyo. Some people said it's because Japanese people value craftsmanship. They are noble, not like wasteful Westerners. This sort of hand-waving feels unsatisfying to me. In this thread, I'll try to explore some ideas on why Tokyo is so fashionable. Some of it has to do with culture, but as you'll see in the thread, there are also political, economic, and institutional forces. A big reason why Tokyo is more fashionable has to do with the media environment. There are thousands of hobbyist magazines covering topics ranging from woodworking to whiskey. In menswear, they can get very specific in terms of aesthetic, classic tailoring, workwear, streetwear, outdoorsy style, etc. God, these look nice. It's interesting to me to see the difference between US and Japanese fashion media. Whereas US media tends to focus on celebrities and ideas on how you break the rules, or the idea that there are no rules and you can do whatever you want, Japanese media explores rules and details. Here are some scans from Men's X on how to shine shoes. The last scan, I think from Free and Easy, explores the teeny tiny differences between 9 pairs of full-cut chinos. The Japanese word otaku refers to nerds that are obsessed with these niche hobbyist details. This stuff is so nice. Only we had stuff like this in the West. In addition to magazines, there are also one-off hobbyist publications clearly made as a labor of love. Here's one on shoes. Inside it explores iconic styles, construction techniques, and even different ways to lace up your shoes. Trust me, menswear nerds have rules for this. Oh, but this just shows the nerdy, detail-obsessed nature of Japanese people, you say. Perhaps, but these publications can't exist without a distribution system, i.e. newsstands, and those newsstands can't exist without dense, walkable neighborhoods. Along with having better fashion media, Tokyo has better shopping opportunities than most US cities. There are stores with racks of just vintage Aldens or 1950s workwear. God, I wish. Nothing like this exists in America. Maybe in like New York City. There are also more bespoke tailors and shoemakers in Tokyo alone than all of the United States. Are you into sleazy, glamorous 1970s style eyewear? There's a whole store dedicated to that. Solaksade. As well as nearby shops selling the rayon shirts, bootcut pants, side-zip boots, and jewelry you'll want to wear with your new eyewear purchase. Are you into denim, Americana, and mid-century workwear? There are stores that sell brands recreating the exact materials and talon zippers once used on military clothing. Man. Well, they probably don't have my size anyway. American media in general is always trying to communicate complete freedom and rebellion, and that doesn't lead to strong men's fashion choices. I actually think it's destructive hyper-individualism. By insisting, like, no rules, freedom, rebellion, do whatever you want, you're actually discouraging people from learning about things they might otherwise develop a sincere interest in, and a principled, like, breaking of the rules, and it keeps people from getting truly invested in hobbyism, because it teaches them that, like, nothing actually matters in that regard. You're basically discouraging people from learning. My friend Seiji is a bespoke shoemaker. He was born in the United States, but moved to Tokyo some years ago to train under a master bespoke shoemaker. Now he runs his own American shop. I call his style elevated Alden because the shapes are so American. I love them. These are so pretty, dude. Holy shit. Look at that. He tells me he can pursue his dream of working as a bespoke shoemaker because the cost of living is low, specifically rent. You can rent a tiny space in Tokyo for very little money, whereas commercial space in the US tends to be big and expensive. Yeah, it's not just, I want to get this book. I want to get that book. It's not just like rent is expensive in America. It's also that commercial spaces are massive. Whereas in Tokyo, you can get like a 600 square foot apartment and underneath it a little storefront for relatively little money. But if you want a storefront in like Seattle, I hope you have the money to buy like a gigantic fucking showroom, you know? I hope you have like $11,000 a month at minimum. Isn't that shirt gorgeous? When a commercial space is both big and expensive, the tenants tend to be deep-pocketed corporations. So instead of an independent perfumer, you get Sephora. Instead of a brand selling niche workwear, you get J.Crew. This happened recently, dude. There's literally a Seattle workwear brand called Freeman Seattle that had to leave their shop recently, and now they just have like a little like showroom in like a little like cubby business, you know, like the ones that are basically like storage units, except businesses are there. But they had a store, a proper store. This leads to homogenization in fashion and culture. Compare that to Tailor Cade, a bespoke tailoring boutique that specializes in mid-century American-style tailoring. That means dartless tailoring with a natural shoulder line and 3-roll-2 closure. The style is niche, but they don't have to sell much to pay rent. The proprietor, Yuhei Yamamoto, makes clothes for guys who are passionate about classic American style. In these circles, social cash is not gained through innovation, but by demonstrating you can correctly execute the look. That means digging deep into the details. I want this book! Which Japanese saved American style after we abandoned it. There are specific people who shaped the fashion culture of Japan. The book covers how stuff like vintage jeans became cool in Japan. Tokyo is not just about vintage style. In Harajuku, lots of young people are wearing cosplay, goth/punk, avant-garde, and other types of fashions. Yeah, this is the thing. People say that all of this is conformist, but this is just a tiny sliver of the power that like real cultural investment brings you. Whereas in America, we have like a monoculture of clothing. In basically every American city, except for New York City, everyone looks the fucking same. Everyone's just wearing like shitty stretch jeans and a tee, and like in Seattle, it's like a hoodie or puffer vest or whatever. Like people tend to dress the same. Whereas if you go to Tokyo, and I saw this even in the short time that I was in Tokyo, there's an insane variety of styles. You will see fashionistas like all over the place. And it's because they have the subcultures that allow you to develop it. So in a strange, like seemingly contradictory way, caring enough about the art form to learn the rules gives you more power and freedom to explore and innovate and to demonstrate your culture and your personality. Well, I've seen videos, Thana, but it's true. I haven't been to New York City. Culture tends to build itself. In Kojima, Momotaro is making handcrafted artisanal jeans that sell upwards of $2,000. The price isn't high because a celebrity wore it, rather because of how much time and skill goes into making the garment. I've seen this video. The amazing denim industry in Japan means that Capital, a store in Tokyo, can sell specialized, innovative jeans based on deep research and craft skills, and there are customers who know what they're buying. Man. Stand up? No, I won't. I hope that the people who are irritated by the fashion bullshit, which it's fine. It's fine. It's a free country if you feel that way. I just hope the people who feel that way are aware of the fact that I'm not being driven by like gaudy, like conspicuous consumerism, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not like the people who go down to like the fancy boardwalk shops and they're like, oh, this is expensive, I like that, or whatever. You know, I got a liking for these things, you know? I don't know how they could get that. It's very clearly sharing earnest enthusiasm. I just know that some people, though it's less than it used to be, see me get enthusiastic about very expensive clothing, and they treat me like I'm some, you know, ditzy, you know, socialite who tosses, like frivolously tosses disposable income at like, oh, that's shiny, get that, or whatever, you know, in kind of like a contemptible fashion. And I just, you know, there's a world of difference, in my opinion. Vaush, your take on belts is elitist. Not everyone can afford belts just for fashion. Kyle, I don't know what you mean. The only thing I'm saying is that ideally, a pair of pants shouldn't need a belt to, you know, be held up. I'm not saying like you should buy a bunch of belts for fashion or whatever. I'm just saying that, like, you know, ideally the pants should just fit well to your body. I think they're saying some people can't afford to have perfectly tailored clothing, so they need a belt. Yeah, but like, obviously, I was talking about aesthetic. I was talking about like ideals and aesthetics. Like, yeah, of course. Like there are pants that I wear with a belt because it helps the pants fit better, because they don't fall off without a belt, but they don't sit at the right point on my hips without the belt. I'm only talking like ideally how they should be structured, but I'm not judging people out when I go out in the street and I see them wearing like a belt or whatever, you know? Sorry, I don't think I was clear enough. I got too in my head.